Well, hello everybody. So this is a brilliant study by Richard Réti. Everything he does is just magic. But if you recognize this from my channel, it's true. I have made a video about this before, but that was one of the first videos I did. Not many have seen it, so if you did, you're one of the few. This is so good, so it demands really to have more attention, I think, because when I did my first video, I didn't have many followers. So now, with a good amount of people watching, I would say give this another chance because it's beautiful. Okay, here we go. White to move and win. So our pawns are going in this direction. The black pawn is one step away from promotion. Our king is there to guard it, though. Anyway, we only have one way to win this. The first move isn't that hard to find, I would say, but it becomes more difficult later. So there will be more chances to post the video after the first one, at least one more chance. Okay, so now you can do just that. Post the video, see if you can find out how white has to play to win this, and see if you can find the full variation on how to make that happen. Go ahead. All right, welcome back. So if we start with a move like this, just grabbing the pawn, black will immediately go after our pawn here and we will lose it. And once that is gone, black will always be able to sacrifice his bishop on this pawn, and we're down with just a knight and nothing more than that. So we cannot be that passive. We have to do something to really secure this pawn's survival for a while and then focus on other things. So how do we do that? Well, if we push the pawn, well, black will attack it again, and then we perhaps guard it with our knight, and then black will attack our knight like this, and now we have to move it, and this pawn will fall, and we're down to the same draw situation as we looked at. And starting with a check here, not allowing the king to come here, well, he will come to b5, attacking our knight and the pawn, and then we push the pawn. Well, this gives us, compared to the last version, gives us a little extra move, but black is not in a rush. He will just move the king up, preparing to get the bishop here, or perhaps here, and attack the knight, and it will all be the same. This is not winning for white. So now to the starting correct move, which is, I think you've seen it, it's knight to d4 check. We're checking the king and also protecting the b5 square. And since the b6 square is also protected, the king has either to go up here or attack our knight. Let's see if he plays passive and try to attack the pawn by having the plan to go here. Well, now we can simply just grab this pawn like this. If the king comes to b6, or if the bishop would have attacked our knight, in both cases we go to b3, sorry, with our knight. And now, since it's in a light square, the bishop cannot attack it. And if the king comes down like this, well, then it's free space for our pawn to move, and we can just focus on this side, pushing our pawn. The black bishop will have to attack and sacrifice here. The king cannot really attack our knight. He has to guard the pawn, so this is winning for us for sure. Okay, so black has to keep attacking us. He has to be active to make it harder for us. So what if he attacks the knight right away? Well, now the king moves too far away from this pawn. So in this case, we just push the pawn to a6. The king cannot come back here, as we see, and he cannot really stop this pawn now. It will become a queen. The king cannot stop it, and the bishop cannot stop it either. So this is a very bad move for black. So what's left is the key line in this study. Black will play king c5, attacking our knight, and if we push the pawn, he will ignore our knight and instead grab the pawn like this, playing king b6. So Now is the chance. In this situation, we checked the king comes to c5, attacking the knight, and at the same time keeping guard of this pawn is always able to come back. Now we have to find a beautiful variation from here in order to stay ahead and still winning this as white. So now we can pause the video again and see how white has to play in this situation to win. Go ahead. All right. Did you see it? It is beautiful. As I said, we cannot push the pawn. Black will just come up to b6 and the pawn will fall. If we move away the knight somewhere with a check, well, king comes to b5, this pawn will fall also. If we move and attack the bishop, well, he can play the bishop to f4, guard his own pawn. The king will still be able to stop here, and this is just a draw also. Can we ignore the fact that he is attacking our knight perhaps and start by grabbing the pawn here? No, we cannot, because he can take the knight. This will not become a queen due to the fact that black will give a check here and then be able to put the bishop back and stop this pawn also. So we cannot take this pawn. We cannot really move the knight because then he will come to b5. We cannot move the pawn either because then the king will come to b6. So, okay, what about this pawn? Why is it here? Can we move it one step perhaps? It looks like a good decision, but this is not right either. The pawn is there to stop the bishop from coming to e3. If we move it, we will allow the black bishop to come here to attack the knight, and when we move, well, then it's if he checks or something like this, he will just attack our pawn. If he comes here to attack the bishop, he will again go back to f4 and then go here. So we cannot move this pawn either. We cannot move this pawn, we cannot move this pawn, we cannot move this knight, we cannot grab the pawn. So what are we doing? Well, it's only one move left, and that is the correct continuation here. King h1. That is a really, really brilliant move, and it's very hard to see from the beginning. The only move that is winning from this position is putting the king on h1, putting black in the Zugsfang. Now he's forced to move something. The pawn cannot move, obviously. The king, he cannot come to b5, c6, or b6. That means that if he has to move, well, it's our pawn will be going for a queen. If he takes here, we just push the pawn. Now black will not have the extra tempo move by checking here. So he cannot stop the pawn. This is impossible. This will come to a queen, and we will win. And if the king moves away something like this, well, then we grab this bishop here with a fork, and of course we are winning after that also. And if the king comes down, well, again we're just pushing a6, and this will become a queen. So the king has to stay. The pawn cannot move. The bishop can move and has many places to go. But look at this. What will happen when he moves? If he goes to g7 or f8, then we will follow up with knight e6 check, and we will grab the bishop no matter where it goes. And the same happens if it comes to g5 or f4. We still play knight e6 with a fork, grab the bishop. This pawn is still here to protect the e3 square, so he cannot come here. So what's left is only these two squares. And look what happens if he goes to any of these two squares. Well, again, we will give a check here, and he will lose his bishop. Even though we're losing the pawn on a5, this is, of course, winning easily for white. Now we're a knight and a pawn up, and this is winning easily. So basically, after white managed to find the beautiful move of king h1 here, there's nothing left for black to do. He can just resign from here and call this a day. This is really, really beautiful move, I think. I hope you enjoyed it too. And if you enjoyed it that much, and if you're not a subscriber already, please press subscribe and follow me for the daily puzzles and studies that I post in this channel. And if you're already a subscriber, well, welcome back tomorrow again. I'll give you something then to look at again. All right. Good day, everybody. See you later. Bye bye.